Hello YouTubers, 8th of August here, late in the afternoon. Here's Paul. Now he has a story about sheets from the hotel today.
Okay, well, on checkouts, everything gets replaced, even the shower curtain. But a stayover, I mean, if you slept on it one night, you know, it's like home, you know. You don't change your sheets the very next day.
Well, you'd hope not, unless something awful happened, yes. I'm sorry, go on, I'm terrible.
So the people staying every night, you know, come back and they're checking the sheets and they're going out to the housekeepers and they said, well, we slept on these last night. We want fresh sheets. So all the stayovers are even wanting fresh sheets. So we've got laundry piled up in the laundry room like you wouldn't believe. Because there's like 90-some checkouts and 30-some stayovers. And so even the 30-some stayovers, they had to have all fresh sheets and stuff put on their beds also. Therefore, that's why we got like about $3,000 worth of stuff hauled in today.
Hauled in from what?
From the hotel supply. I mean, like bath towels, pillowcases, washcloths, hand towels. So, it was a trip. Today was a real trip. And every time you turn around, somebody had to have stuff. Because people are all asking for extra towels and stuff. So I was trying to do my job, plus help out with the laundry, you know, folding stuff up and getting stuff up to the housekeepers, because they kept running out of everything. Sheets, towels, hand towels, washcloth, pillowcases, the works. But we got it done.
Well, there it is, YouTubers. And that's the word from Paul today. Okay.
The most people requesting fresh sheets put back on their bed today were not families with kids and stuff. It was single guys staying there. They all wanted the fresh, clean sheets. Put it on the beds. So, who knows what they've been up to. But they had to have fresh, clean sheets because they knew they used those last night.
Clean sheets?
Because they came home and unmade the beds and looked at them and saw the sheets and they started all demanding fresh sheets.
Clean sheets!
So the housekeepers had to keep running back to the rooms. That's how I got a half-hour overtime today.
Overtime, you gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. And we're back. Now, in line with the story that Paul just told about clean sheets, this reminds me of a story. Well, you knew it would have to, wouldn't you?
Flashback.
Now, in high school, I had two very good history teachers. One was in 8th grade and one was in my junior year in high school. And the 8th grade guy was the fellow that was the Strategic Air Command bomber pilot who became a lawyer, and I worked for him when I was in my junior and senior year, and summer between that and college, and actually a little bit during the holidays when I came home. And then the other one was a fellow named Robert Taylor. Now, Robert Taylor taught American history, junior year American history, and it was a required course under the laws of the state of Ohio at that time, and due to the vagaries of my scheduling, because I wanted to take the 3rd year of Spanish, I ended up taking this junior year class during my, well, I don't know, I took it whenever I took it. Anyway, I had to take it because of the scheduling problems. I had to take this class in a period that was generally the period that was reserved for the ne'er-do-wells and jailhouse denizens. In fact, normally you would have about somewhere between 25 and 30 people in a class. Yeah. Yes, remember when you had 25 and 30 people in a classroom, guys? The problem.
Try 36.
Well, that's fine. Well, no, it's 35. I've been in one where there's 35 when I was growing up. But the issue here was that you'd be down to maybe 12 to 17, and the rest of them were in the county jail. Well, half of the missing ones were in the county jail, and the other half were just gone. It was gone somewhere.
Get the day.
So, Mr. Taylor said one day, he says, when we get down to where there's only a head count of 10 in this classroom in this period, he says, I'm going to go down to the jail. We'll just have class down in the jail. He says, because we'll have more people in class in the jail than here. Well, I never quite got down to that, but it did get down to 12 on a number of occasions. Well, anyway, he realized that I was, stuck in there as kind of a, it's a required class. I'm glad I took the class. I love history. In fact, he's one of the guys that basically, accelerated my love of history. And he gave me my first true historiography book. It was called The Whig Interpretation of History by Herbert Butterfield. And that started me thinking about, because up to that point I'd always thought, well, history is what happens. No, history isn't what happens. Yeah, it is what happens. But history after it happens, history after it happens is what's happening up here in the head. History's here. And history is here because somebody tells you a story about what actually happened, as near as they can determine what happened, by documents and interviews and things. But history is what happens up here in your head. That's a reality that is ultimately going to be the lasting reality after all of the contested facts fade into the distance. And that's what I realized from that book. And he was a good teacher. He was a good teacher. He's a very compassionate teacher. My best friend, who's now out in Los Angeles, and we became very good friends with this guy after we graduated from high school and we're in college. And we'd go back and I guess the phrase now would be hang out or hang with this guy. And eventually then he got married and then we'd go over to we'd go over to him and his wife's house. His and his wife's house. And that was great, I actually then at one point drove over. See, when I had that awful house up there in Fort Wayne that I was still taking care of after I left town up there in Fort Wayne, I'd go mow the yard, and then one summer day I drove over in 104-degree weather and went over to Altoona. They lived in Altoona, and we went to some great bar and had a big steak, and he and his wife and his son, at that point his son was like 16. He and his wife had a child together, and they were out of town, and so he put me in his son's room, and I didn't want to dirty up the man's bed, so I just slept on the floor, and then went home to Columbus. But that's the last time I saw the guy, because in the middle of the 1980s, I actually had gotten a call night before I went to work from my friend, who at that point wasn't out in Los Angeles, and said this guy had died. And I of course couldn't go to the funeral, and there was no address. I mean, they had moved, and I couldn't write his widow, and I tried to contact the funeral home, but they wouldn't let me contact the widow, and so that's just a connection that's gone forever. But what a lot of fun he was to be around and to have been taught by. So Bob, God bless you. And I know there's a guy out in Los Angeles that might be watching this that also feels the same way. So, alrighty, bye-bye, YouTubers. Now, while getting ready to do my video, sort of upload, it occurs to me that I forgot to tell the story about clean sheets. Now, it seems that, when Bob Taylor, Mr. Taylor, Bob, I never really was comfortable calling him by his first name, got married, somebody asked him, well, what's the biggest change about being married? And he says, clean sheets, clean sheets. And then after a bit of a pause, he added, clean socks too.